What's going on, y'all? Gamers Goon here today, and as you can see by clicking on this video, we are starting the NFL season later tonight. So we are going to be doing the weekly predictions. Obviously, the last few weeks, I know I've been doing Arsenal recaps, been doing Bears recaps. Been slacking the last few weeks, but had a real busy time. Obviously, going to wrestling last weekend helped. I guess take away time that I could do to record. And for the next few weeks, I won't be able to record right after the games because I will be watching the games with family and that type of stuff. So I believe on Monday, I will be able to record for the Bears recaps. And then Arsenal, once they get their stuff back going after this international break, same thing there. I'll be able to record the day after. Towards later this month. Later this month, then I will be going back to right after the games, being able to record. But I'm still home for a little bit and spending time with family, and I don't really want to take time away from doing that to go record a video. But we're starting off with the big one, as you can see here. We have the season getting among us. It's beginning. It is going to start tonight with a game between the Lions and the Chiefs. I'm excited for it. I think it's going to be a good game. But with that being said, I don't know how much confidence points I want to put in this one. We'll track our confidence points throughout the weeks. Detroit, Kansas City. Detroit obviously had a good season last year, barely missing the playoffs. And then obviously Kansas City, we know how great they are. But when you look at Kansas City, I really struggle to find, outside of what Patrick Mahomes does for that team, I don't really know how their offense is going to be this season. Major injuries going into this match. Travis Kelce will, I believe, play. He's questionable. Not sure if he's playing or not, but he's a game time decision. Chris Jones, I believe, is out. He's having a contract dispute. Hugh's out there. And that's really all the players for the Chiefs that I would be concerned about. Jameson Williams, obviously, out there for the Lions with his gambling thing, I believe. Yeah. How many weeks is he out? How many weeks is he out? 6 games. 6 games for Jameson Williams. But he's out for that. Emmanuel Mosley's out. And those are really the only people I would expect to see. Maybe Julian Aquara today. But like Hendon Hooker. Not saying that they're bad players if I'm not mentioning them. I just don't really think they're going to start. Hendon Hooker's not going to start for that Lions team, at least in the early season. So that's like why I'm not mentioning some of their guys, because I'm like, they're not going to start. So I don't know if it's going to impact this game significantly. But Chiefs Lions, Kelce going to be a big story to follow throughout the day. Meanwhile, for the Chiefs, I'm not really impressed with the people they have. Their receivers don't necessarily scare me. Obviously, they got MVS, they got Kadarius Toney, Rashee Rice, Justin Ross, Sky Moore, Richie James. Nobody really there is instilling fear in me. I think they'll be fine. Patrick Mahomes tends to make players look good. I wouldn't be surprised if those guys could easily be one of the better receiving cores, because it's not like there's bad receivers really in that room. It's just like there's not really that elite receiver in that room that you're looking at and you're like, wow, that guy's special. There are just a lot of really good receivers. So Chiefs don't really have anybody offensively that I think is like, you have to stop that guy if Kelce isn't playing. If Kelce isn't playing, I don't think there's a single guy on that offense outside of Patrick Mahomes that you really got to key in on it as a defense for the Lions. So I know the Chiefs, they have about 92% of the votes currently. I know it's not a flattering pick. I'm going to put 12 confidence points on the Chiefs, though. Patrick Mahomes, I said he can make players look good. Obviously, the Lions, they have some new players there with Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery. They're in their backfield. They're going to be trying to implement those guys into their game plan. Obviously, Amon-Ra's been great for them last season, but I really think that it's going to be a very fun game, but I think ultimately the Chiefs win. Panthers versus Falcons. Panthers versus the Falcons. The first time we're going to get to see Bryce Young start a football game in the NFL in the regular season. Obviously, with the preseason, we've got to see a little bit of Bryce Young. But Panthers, Falcons, both teams I think are going to be, and this is not, both teams are going to be, I was going to say the Caleb Williams sweepstakes, but the Panthers aren't going to be in the Caleb Williams sweepstakes. They're both going to be teams that are going to finish within the bottom 10 of the league, I would imagine. I might be eating my words on that if the Panthers go and be good or if the Falcons go and be good. I imagine both these teams will pick inside the top 10 next season. I don't think either really is ready to compete. I think that the Falcons are definitely in Caleb Williams territory, and obviously with the Panthers, I think it could be hopefully not a top 1 pick because that's a very dangerous pick to have and use as trade leverage. But as you saw what the Bears did, my Chicago Bears did it. Speaking about the Bears, I don't know if I mentioned it, but I know I'm not wearing a Bears shirt. I will be doing Bears reactions, but it's Dev Witherspoon from Illinois. As you can see in my room, Illinois. So don't go. Why is he wearing a Seahawks jersey? It's my boy. It's my boy. But Panthers. It's gonna be our first sighting of Bryce Young this season. They're probably gonna be fighting for a Marvin Harrison type of draft pick. Obviously, that wouldn't be number 1, but it'd be somewhere around like 5 through 10, I would imagine. But it'll be interesting to see what happens. Could even be higher than 5. Usually you don't see that with receivers, but I mean Marvin Harrison is an absolute beast, so could end up happening. Panthers, though, I'm going with them. Not putting a lot of confidence in them. I'm going to put 2 confidence points. I'm going to save my 1 confidence point for later. Don't know when you'll need it. But Panthers, I'm going to take them. Only about 15% of people are taking the Panthers, so take that for what you will. I'm going with the underdog there. Let's go Panthers. Bengals versus Cleveland. This is going to be a fun game. Obviously, from Illinois perspective, you just see Sidney Brown's NFL debut. Obviously, he'll be behind Joe Mixon, so I don't necessarily know how many touches or anything like that he's going to get. But you look at the other side, and it is a Browns team that I also think is fairly solid. Fairly solid. But let's pull up their injury things. I believe, don't quote me on this, that we will get to see Joe Burrow. I think Joe Burrow will be playing in this game. So that is pretty big. But for Cincinnati, La'el Collins really is the only guy there that I really think would be competing to start. And then on Cleveland, Marquise Goodwin, Jakeem Grant, Denzel Ward is questionable with a concussion. That might hurt them. Going up against Joe Burrow, I think you really need some of your top defensive players. Juan Thornhill is going to be questionable. There's a lot of injuries on the Cleveland side of things, but I think I got the main injuries there. I think I got the main injuries down. And we didn't really do that for the Panthers. Oh well. Only put 2 confidence points in them. We didn't really talk about too much. But Bengals, I think Joe Burrow's bound for a big season. I really do. He's got to stay healthy. Obviously, we know he got hurt in camp. But you got T. Higgins there. You got Jamar Chase there. You got a really good third option there in Tyler Boyd. There's a lot of guys on that Bengals team that are dangerous offensively. I think they're a solid defense. Don't necessarily think they're an elite defense. I think they're really good defensively, but I would consider them an elite level offense. And I think Bengals here should win pretty comfortably. I'm going to put 10 confidence points on it. I don't want to use my big points yet. I want to save it for a better time, but I'm going to go with the Bengals. Jaguars versus Colts is next. About 84% of people are taking the Bengals, by the way. Jaguars Colts is next. This is going to be an interesting one. I don't necessarily think either team is going to be a playoff team. Obviously, that's a weird thing to say with the Jaguars, who had a really decent season last year with Trevor Lawrence at the helm. But Colts, I think they're going to be obviously Caleb Williams territory. Jaguars, I think they'll be pushing for a playoff spot. Don't know if they'll make it. But Jaguars, Colts, it's going to be a game that probably should be handled pretty easily. Let's be honest. The Jaguars shouldn't come in with much many struggles. And the Jaguars, they do have a lot of injuries. Devon Hamilton, Cam Robinson, Dwan Smoot, those type of guys. Not really any of their stars, just some good players that are either in backup roles or starting, but they aren't really. I don't think that they're going to necessarily cost the Jaguars this game. But the Colts, they might be down Shaq Leonard. That's going to be a big one. They might be down Ronnie Harrison. He's dealing with concussion. Zach Moss. That's going to be obviously something you got to be wary of as a fantasy owner. Zach Moss is somebody that is, for the first at least 3 or 4 weeks, will be getting the majority of touches if he's healthy because of Jonathan Taylor being on the PUP list. But yeah, really the Colts, I don't really see it's going to be Anthony Richardson's first start. With the Colts roster that they have, I'm going to be honest with you, I expect him to struggle. I think Anthony Richardson will turn out to be a decent NFL quarterback. He might even turn out to be one of the great NFL quarterbacks. I definitely could see it. He has a lot of potential, but I don't know if you're going to see that in the first game of the season with a banged up Colts team, and not only a banged up Colts team, but a Colts team that's waiting on a contract situation / an injury to Jonathan Taylor to really figure out what they're going to do with that roster. Because Jonathan Taylor could easily be traded before the season ever even gets going. He could be traded by week 4 when he comes off the physically unable to perform list. And that's going to be the real question and real focal point of the Colts season is what happens with Jonathan Taylor. And I think that's going to significantly impact what happens with Anthony Richardson, because Jonathan Taylor is one of those guys that if all else fails, you can just hand it off to him. He'll get the work done. That's a quarterback's best friend right there in Jonathan Taylor. And it's going to really depend on whether or not he can get involved. And obviously here in the first few weeks, what Zach Moss can help Anthony Richardson with. And then obviously if he's not able to go, then they're turning to their backups there, and I believe Evan Hull's one of them. From last year. Pretty good receiving back out of college. But I'm going to have to go with the Jaguars. I think it's pretty obvious. I'm going to put 13 points on it. I'm really confident in the Jaguars in this game. I think they can do it. And that's just a team that I think is coming in depleted. The Colts week 1 is coming in depleted, and it really sucks for them, but I think a team like the Jaguars, who has shown promise and upside the last few years, obviously they got Calvin Ridley now. He will be able to play. He's finally no longer suspended. So I think it'll be interesting to see what happens, but the Jaguars should handle this game pretty easily with Trevor Lawrence doing the majority of the work there for the Jaguars. Next, we get Tampa Bay versus Minnesota. The end of the Brady era has come, and that means that I believe Baker Mayfield is the starting quarterback. I believe he won the job, but for them, they're going up against a Vikings team that I think is pretty tough to beat anyways. I think a Vikings team that's already pretty solid. Obviously, you know the big names there, the Justin Jeffersons. They don't have Dalvin Cook anymore. I believe their lead back this season is going to end up being Alexander Mattison. But you look at it, Kirk Cousins, always a really solid option at the quarterback. They added Jordan Addison, another weapon to be used. Obviously, they still have KJ Osborne, so they got a little bit better at the receiving core. Obviously, in years past, it's kind of just felt like Justin Jefferson, and then there's a little bit of questions around who else is there outside of KJ Osborne. He's really been the only consistent piece in that receiving core the last few years, next to Justin Jefferson. But added another weapon. So it should be good news if you're a Vikings fan. It should be. Will it end up being good news? I don't know. But the Vikings, a team that I think got it right. They added more to their receiving core, something they desperately needed to do. The Buccaneers, obviously, they are a team that is going to be in rebuild mode. They're going to be in rebuild mode. I don't think Baker Mayfield is going to be the quarterback to bring them back to the playoffs. I don't think Baker Mayfield is going to be pushing this team and elevating this team around him. Obviously, he has the good weapons of Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. So they have the players offensively at the receiving position at least to be a good playoff team. They do. Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, two of the better receivers in the league. Can't deny that. You can't deny that. But unfortunately for him and Baker Mayfield, they no longer have Leonard Fournette. So I believe Rachaad White's going to be their starter. Rachaad White's not bad, but he's not Leonard Fournette. I don't really see with Baker Mayfield how he's going to make this team better than it was last year. I don't. So with that being said, I'm going Vikings. I'm putting 7 confidence points on it. I could see a world where the Baker Mayfield-led Buccaneers win it, but I'm not going to pick that world. Tennessee versus New Orleans. I think this is going to be a really solid game. Obviously, the Titans, the team to watch out for. 2 young quarterbacks on that team. With Malik Willis and Will Levis. In their game, Harold Landry, that's going to be a big blow. Caleb Farley is a big blow. Dylan Radunz is a big blow. Nicholas Petit-Frere is a big blow. Hassan Haskins, he looked pretty good in that Bears game. And then, obviously, for the Saints, Alvin Kamara will not be there. Marshawn Lattimore is questionable. Traquan Smith is questionable. And then some of their rookies also questionable there on the Saints side of things. But I think if you're looking at it, the Titans could be missing them big defenders. Harold Landry would be a big loss here in Week 1. Caleb Farley will not be there Week 1. He is on the PUP list. I'm going to be missing potentially 2 offensive linemen. I think that with that being said, it's kind of hard to pick the Titans to win. They haven't been great in recent years. They've been okay, but they haven't been great. They haven't blown the world away. At one point, I thought they were a team that would be a sleeper to go to the Super Bowl, but they just never really turned out to be that. Obviously, Derrick Henry, one of the toughest guys to tackle in the league, is still there. But Saints, they're going to have a better team this year, I believe. Obviously, Derek Carr is going to be there. Michael Thomas is fully healthy. Finally, hopefully that helps me out in my fantasy football leagues. Chris Olave, I expect him to have a breakout season. But really, the Saints team is going to be a team that's going to be hard to stop, I think. I don't think they're going to necessarily win the Super Bowl or anything like that, but I think they should be a playoff team. They got Jamal Williams as a backup. We saw last year how great Jamal Williams was. Obviously, right now he's going to be the starter for the time being because of Alvin Kamara's situation. But I could easily see the Saints winning this game, and I'm going to have the Saints win this game. Let's say we're going to put, I don't know if I'm going to have too much confidence. I got to start using these higher confidence points because I feel like there's still going to be some games left. I haven't even planned this out. I'm literally doing this as we go. Put 9 confidence points on it. Yeah, we got some games coming up that are questionable. 49ers and Steelers. 49ers versus the Steelers. This is going to be a good game. I believe Nick Bosa just got a massive, $170 million extension. 5 years. 49ers, they will be going into this game with questions surrounding Tashaun Gibson. Kittle, obviously. I don't know if Feliciano starts for him, but I will mention him. They're going to be potentially missing. Oh, Jake Moody's on their roster. Wow, Jake. I didn't realize Jake Moody was on their roster. Well, those are who the 49ers are going to be missing, it seems. I think Hufanga starts for them, doesn't he? I'm not fully sure if Hufanga starts for him, but I will mention him. He is not an Oregon player, but an Oregon boy. Grew up in Corvallis, I believe. Steelers, Cam Hayward, Larry Ogunjobi, pretty much the only guys that I think are going to start there for them. But Steelers going to be missing some defense. 49ers going to be missing a little bit more potentially with Kittle potentially being out. I think Kittle will end up going. I'm going to be honest. But with that game, I think it's pretty safe to say the 49ers should win. The 49ers should win. Obviously, they've given up on Trey Lance. They traded him away. He's no longer in contention. Brock Purdy is going to be the starting QB there in San Francisco, going up against another year 2 quarterback, believe it or not, in Kenny Pickett. But I think with the 49ers, they have a lot of versatility offensively. Steelers, I don't know if they can handle that, especially they're going to be down 2 defenders. So I'm going to go with the 49ers. I'm going to put actually 14 confidence points in it. I really think the 49ers will win that. About 74% are picking them. Oh, and I forgot to do that for the last few games. Jaguars about 94%. Vikings about 96%. And then Saints about 74%. And then 49ers 74%. Cardinals versus Washington. This game is not a game I'm necessarily going to be tuning into. Not a game that I'm getting too excited about. It's just a game that's going to be watched for fantasy purposes for Brian Robinson. This game absolutely does not excite me whatsoever. Washington's going to be down Terry McLaurin potentially. Troy Apke is going to be out. Chase Young's questionable. Shaka Toney is out with suspension. And then for the Cardinals, obviously, you got questionable with Zach Ertz. Kelvin Beachum also questionable. Pat Elflein is out. Kyler Murray is out. Marlon Mack is out. Marquise Brown is questionable. There's just way too many questions on the Cardinals side of things to even consider picking them. Commanders win this one. They got 94% of people thinking they're going to win. I'm putting 15 confidence points. The Cardinals are not winning this game. They're not. I believe Josh Dobbs is their starting QB. And I'm not saying Josh Dobbs is bad or anything, but we haven't seen Josh Dobbs start a game since I believe he was on the Steelers. When was the last time? When was the last time Josh Dobbs last start? Did he start last year for him? Josh Dobbs' career stats. Let's do that. You get the point. I'm not even going to look it up. You get the point. Josh Dobbs, not somebody that has a bunch of NFL experience, really. Obviously, he's been around for a while, but he doesn't really have the pedigree behind him that really shows that he can elevate a team. And I think the Commanders just pretty much should easily win this game. A defense that might be down some players there with Chase Young and some of their guys being out, but I think it's pretty safe to say the Commanders should still win that game pretty easily. Texans versus Ravens. Texans got their quarterback. We're going to see the regular season debut of C.J. Stroud. And we're going to see it against Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. About 99%, I can't read. 98.6 rounds up to 99%. About 99% of people are taking the Ravens. I think I'll join them. I don't even really need to look at the injuries. Once again, this is a team in the Texans that I think will be competing in that top 10 range for picks next year. I think C.J. Stroud is a stepping stone to really get them in the right way. I think C.J. Stroud's going to be an excellent NFL QB. But I think there's still a lot of holes on that team offensively that need to be fixed. Defensively, that need to be fixed. Obviously, Will Anderson's going to help mend to some of those holes and help them out there. But I think I can safely say that the Texans should not be winning this game. Packers versus Bears. Da Bears. You're going to be seeing a video about it probably tomorrow, maybe Saturday. But Bears, Packers. I'm excited for it. I'm getting ready for the season. Obviously, we got to see some little glimpses of what looked to be greatness out of DJ Moore in the preseason. Justin Fields, we know how great of a season he had last year running the football, but he has yet to really show if he can throw the football outside of some glimpses, obviously, in the preseason, some glimpses last year of deep balls down the field, and obviously a full set of a season back in college at Ohio State when he actually had weapons. But he hasn't really had the weapons at the NFL level just yet. And this year he should with DJ Moore, Chase Claypool, and Darnell Mooney. And then on the running back side of things, obviously you got Khalil Herbert, a better pass catching back, I believe, than years past in Roschon Johnson. Obviously, we got Deontay Foreman there. We got a lot of players that I believe can really help Justin Fields elevate his play, as I think he is ready to make that step. Cole Kmet, Robert Tonyan. I think there's a lot of guys there that can really help out Justin Fields. I've said it for the last few years. Give him some weapons, and I think he's an MVP candidate. Don't think he'll win it this year. I'm going to say he's going to win it next season. Obviously, that might change. My assumption might change over the course of the season if Justin Fields isn't looking too good. But I've liked what I've seen from Justin so far. I think this year is going to be the real telling point of whether or not he's able to take that second step. I think he will take it. Obviously, as a Bears fan, we're hoping that he does take it. But running the football, I think, obviously, we've seen how great he was last season. The Bears, they've invested in the offensive line. They got Darnell Wright. They got Nate Davis. They've added help on that O-line. I don't necessarily love the depth at the O-line, but we added help on the O-line. We have a good, I believe it should be good, hopefully it's going to be good, starting offensive line, and it should really help us out. It should help us out this season. And I think with a better offensive line, we're going to see what Justin Fields is really capable of. And I think that a team like the Packers, that we've shown the ability to beat downfield already against Jair Alexander. I don't believe Eric Stokes is going to be in this game. Actually, let me pull up the injuries. We'll talk more about this game in depth tomorrow. But I think, obviously, we have a good chance at winning this game. We have a lot of weapons now, and I think that's obviously something we can expect to see used in this game. Yeah, Eric Stokes will not be playing. Rashawn Gary's questionable. Christian Watson's questionable. Romeo Doubs is questionable. And even their rookie receiver, Dontavion Wicks, is questionable. And for us, Adrian Colbert is questionable. I don't necessarily think he's going to start for us this season. DeMarcus Walker, somebody I think should probably be starting for us this season. He's questionable. Eddie Jackson's questionable. I assume he'll play. Same thing with DeMarcus Walker. Kevin Jenkins is on the IR, and he will not be back. But Jaquan Brisker also questionable. But I believe the starters that we expect outside of Tevin Jenkins should all be healthy enough to play. It sounded like from Coach Eberflus, it sounded like they would be playing. But the Bears, Packers, I think it's going to be a fun game. It's obviously the first game in the non-Aaron Rodgers era for the Packers in a long, long time. And it's the first time that the Bears can really solidify themselves as, once again, a legitimate team in the NFC North, a team that really can compete, a team that can win the NFC North multiple years in a row, a team that can win this rivalry. I think, obviously, the big question in this entire game is Jordan Love. Obviously, we don't know what Jordan Love is going to bring to the table. We have yet to see Jordan Love play a NFL start. I don't believe he started for the Packers. He definitely hasn't had a whole season under his belt with Aaron Rodgers. He might have. I don't necessarily remember if he had a. He might have had a start. I doubt it, but he might have had a start if Aaron Rodgers had an injury. I don't remember if Aaron Rodgers had an injury, to be honest. But this is his first full season, Jordan Love, and we'll get to see what happens for him against the Bears. If I'm the Bears, I'm putting everything on them. I'm blitzing them. I'm giving them all the different looks, treating them like a rookie QB. Just give them a bunch of different looks, try to confuse them, make them make mistakes. Bears should win it. Bears should win it. We're gonna put the Bears. We'll go with 8 points. Chicago. Raiders, Broncos. Once again, a game that I'm not super excited about. It'll probably end up being a decent game, to be honest with you. Not really too much on either side that I think is super notable in terms of like playoff potential. Broncos, Jerry Jeudy might be gone for this game. Tim Patrick will be gone for this game. But really going to be two teams that I think are probably going to be fighting for that wild card area. I'm gonna go with do I think Russell Wilson? I'm gonna say Russell Wilson starts his year off better than last. I'm gonna give him 6 confidence points. We're going with Russell Wilson. Eagles versus Patriots. Patriots, they are going to struggle. They got Zeke though. They got Ramondre Stevenson. Receiving wise, I believe they still have Kendrick Bourne. I think they got Juju. They have Tyquan Thornton. I don't think it's enough. I'm going to be honest. I don't know if it's enough. Eagles team that obviously Jalen Hurts, MVP candidate, one of the best players in the league. It's hard to stop Jalen Hurts. Obviously, he has the weapons. A.J. Brown. He has Devontae Smith. I think it's going to be a tough task for the Patriots to beat that team. I'm going to go with the Eagles. About 95% agree with me. And about 67 and 70% for the Bears and Broncos, respectively, by the way. Dolphins and Chargers. I'm looking forward to this game. Two teams I think will make the playoffs this season. I think they both will. Dolphins obviously came up short in years past when they should have made it. Chargers, same thing there. Both teams that have unfortunately been the victims of really good, conferences that have put forth teams that are winning 12, 13 games as wild card teams. And Chargers are really going to have something this year, I think. They have Quentin Johnston added to a receiving core, obviously with Mike Williams there and Keenan Allen. It's going to be a really good receiving core there for Justin Herbert, one of those QBs that likes to air it out, big time passer, big time passing team. Austin Eckler will be playing for him, should be healthy. Dolphins, obviously, if you're the Dolphins, you try to get Tyreek Hill involved. You try to get Jalen Waddle involved. Jalen Waddle, I believe, is questionable. Tua obviously showed last year that he was capable of leading that team. So it's going to be two teams that are going to be fairly evenly matched, if you ask me. I think they got a lot of dynamic weapons on both teams. But I'm going to eventually say that the Chargers win it. I'm going to not put too many points on it. I'm only putting one. I'm putting one because I think it can go either way. Rams Seahawks. I don't necessarily think I need to explain too much, but the Seahawks should win. Rams. Offensively, I have zero fear in the Rams. I believe Cooper Kupp is out now. I believe that was announced yesterday that he will not be playing. But outside of the Rams and outside of Cooper Kupp, I'm not scared of anybody on that Rams team. I'm not scared of Cam Akers. I'm not scared of any of their other receivers, really. In Seattle, I mean, they got DK, they got Tyler Lockett, they now have Jackson Smith and Jigba. They have my boy Dev there on that defense. I think they're going to be a good team this year. Geno Smith looked good last year. We'll give them 4 confidence points for the Seahawks. And I believe 5 and 3 are the only confidence points left. Dallas versus the Giants. 90% of people agreed with me for the Seahawks, by the way. Cowboys versus the Giants. It's going to be the big Sunday night game. It's going to be a fun game. Giants, obviously, they looked good last year. Daniel Jones did his thing. Got players involved and really helped that Giants team look better than in years past. The defense was pretty solid last year for the Giants. The Dallas Cowboys, obviously, the big joke about the Cowboys is they can never get it done. I think they'll get it done, though, against the Giants. They should. Dak Prescott leading the way. Obviously, got CeeDee Lamb there. They will not have Zeke Elliott. Tony Pollard will be the primary running back. There will not be any chance of going back to Zeke because he's now in New England. But Cowboys, I'm going to take them. 74% of people agree with me. I'm going to put 3 confidence points on it in the last game of the season. Or not season. Wow, that'd be a quick season, huh? The last game of the week, we got the Buffalo Bills and the New York Football Jets. Not the Giants, the Jets. You thought I was going to say Giants, didn't you? The Jets, Jets. That's who they're. Aaron Rodgers' era is beginning in New York. We'll see what Garrett Wilson can do with them. Obviously, Allen Lazard and Randall Cobb followed him. Dalvin Cook is now on the Jets, the Jets, Jets. But the Bills, obviously, we know the weapons they got. They added Dalton Kincaid. Obviously, you know the Stephon Diggs is. You know how Josh Allen is. Josh Mahomes. That'd be a crazy combo right there. Still week 1. Still a little bit getting back into the flow of things. So I'm making mistakes left and right, but Josh Mahomes would be a crazy combo. Imagine Patrick Mahomes with Josh Allen's mobility. That'd be insane. But yeah, Bills versus Jets. Josh Allen's a different beast. I'm gonna be honest. I know Aaron Rodgers is going in, and he's really gonna need. It's in front of the Jets' home crowd. He's gonna want to prove a point. But I think ultimately the Bills are going to win this game. They're going to go there into the Jets Stadium and win. So the Bills beat the Jets. Scores. And I'm not going to tell you my tiebreaker scores. I'm just going to do them. But thank you all for watching, and we will see you next week on Thursday to break down what we think will happen. And you will see me tomorrow for the Chicago Bears. Thank you for watching.